Ladies and gentlemen, aviation enthusiasts and curious minds alike, welcome to the thrilling mini-series that will take you soaring through the skies called What Makes This Plane Great. In this episode, we're going to talk about the American four-engine bomber, the Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress. So, what makes this heavy bomber great? Well, one of the first things we all think of that makes the B-17 Flying Fortress great is that, like the Aleutian IL-2 and P-47 Thunderbolt, it could take an insane amount of punishment. Whether it took hits from enemy aircraft or flak, or even colliding with other aircraft, not many aircraft were able to fly back to base with as much damage as what a lot of the B-17s took. And while the B-24 Liberator may be the better bomber on paper, with its superior range and bomb load etc., many bomber crews preferred the B-17 Flying Fortress, as not only could it take more punishment, but it was also an easier and nicer plane to fly. Another one of the first things we think that makes the B-17 great is that it was a well-armed bomber. While it couldn't carry as heavy a bomb load than what other similar aircraft could, like the B-24 Liberator, Handley Page Halifax and Avro Lancaster could, it certainly made up for it with the amount of 50 caliber machine guns that were fitted to it to fend off enemy aircraft. The British heavy bombers, which are the Short Stirling, Halifax and Lancaster, were fitted with 8 or 9 303 machine guns. B-24 Liberator was fitted with about 10 50 caliber machine guns, while the B-17 Flying Fortress was fitted with 13 50 caliber machine guns, and could probably take more punishment than the other bombers I've just mentioned. So it's safe to say that the Flying Fortress certainly lived up to its name, and the unsuccessful YB-40 gunship variant of the Flying Fortress was fitted with about 18 50 caliber machine guns. Another thing that makes the Flying Fortress great was that it was a widely used aircraft. Early on in the Second World War, they were used by the Royal Air Force in both Bomber Command and Coastal Command. Coastal Command B-17s destroyed over 10 German U-boats, took part in meteorological reconnaissance missions, and flew from different countries to gather weather forecast data. As well as in the European theatre against the Germans and Italians, the Americans also used the B-17 Flying Fortress in the Pacific theatre against the Japanese, and both the Germans and Japanese used captured B-17s for their own training and research purposes. In fact, the Luftwaffe used captured B-17s to infiltrate bomber formations and as a long-range transport aircraft. With it being a widely used aircraft, B-17 would end up being used for different purposes, both during and after the Second World War. As well as being used as a bomber, the B-17 would be used in transport roles, different types of reconnaissance missions, and were even used to test different engines and weapons. One different role the B-17 Flying Fortress served well in was as a search and rescue aircraft. These so-called Dumbo aircraft carried and dropped lifeboats to stranded bomber crews at sea. The SB-17s were later able to carry airborne lifeboats, and the SB-17's post-war service included serving in the Korean War. Another different role the B-17 would be widely used in both during and after the Second World War was as a drone aircraft. These radio-controlled drones would be piloted by a crew in another aircraft, and these drones would be used as flying bombs, testing the effects of atomic weapons, and to test different types of post-war missiles. And that's it for this thrilling journey through the skies. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date with my aviation content, etc. Check out 2 videos at the end, or my CD reviews, or even a playlist I've created. Cheers.